I am back today sharing with you about one little word, which is an annual, well, it's an annual, but it's also a year-long project that I have done I'm embarking on my 4th full year with it. And essentially it's where you pick a word of the year. And I've actually had a word for 5 years, but I didn't complete the project the first year because it was 2016 and I had a newborn for the first time. And my word of the year was nurture. Did not nurture that project, but I held the word with me for the rest of the year. I just didn't follow through on the project. This specific project is a memory keeping based project, but it's more of a journaling, self-introspective, self-awareness, inner work project. Than maybe what you would think of as memory keeping, but it is a project led by my memory keeping guru, who is Allie Edwards, who is just an amazing inspiration and role model for documenting in the modern world. I think, you know, it's between Instagram and Facebook and all the things going on, there's a lot of ways that we document photos and words and things like that these days, but there's something to be said for tying that in to actual paper and photographs and written word. To me, there's nothing quite like having that tacit. To me, it's really the activity of doing it that I get the most out of personally, but I just love it. And she has hosts of other memory keeping projects and classes and products. She makes amazing products, but this particular project, like I said, is more of an inner work. I think of it as a deep soul dive. So I picked a word for 2019, and that word was connect. And I held that word all year, I was very aware of it because I'm doing this project, so I'm looking at it once a month from a prompt-based class, and that's what the class is. It's an online class. You do it at your own pace. There's monthly prompts. The prompts usually take me anywhere between 1 and 2 hours to complete, like the physical crafty bit. You could totally skip that part and just do journaling, or not even pay for the class and just have a word and do what you will with it. I like having the guidance, I like having the project, and I like having the complete product at the end where I can say, wow, this is my growth from 2019, like in a nutshell. Of course, it's not every tiny little thing, but these are the big parts. And I have now 3 of these albums and like 2 pages from 2016, and I'm embarking on my 4th year doing the whole hog, right, with album. Anyway, today I thought I would share with you a look at my 2019 album with my word connect. And I'm gonna go through it overhead style, you know, spread by spread, and show you everything. Now, please keep in mind, this is essentially a diary. That's how personal this is. Super, super personal. If you've been following me in the last few weeks, you know I announced some really significant changes in my life that materialized in the last year. So there's a lot of that in here. There's a lot of heart work and hard work, inner work, and just a lot of, I think it's just a lot of vulnerability in sharing this, but I am happy to do so because I know when I look at somebody else sharing their work, like for instance Allie sharing her work in her workshops and on her blogs and stuff, it really, really helps me. Even if we have completely different walks of life, we're going through completely different things, we're in completely different places, both, you know, as in like geographically, but also just emotionally and family. I mean, whoever it is that you're looking to for inspiration, I still think there's something really fundamentally connecting, to bring it back to my word, about sharing. And what the heck was that? What the heck? I don't know. Nope. Baby is fine. Don't know what that big boom was. Anyway, I think everybody's okay. I don't hear any crying or anything. Where was I? That was really distracting. Right. It just makes you feel connected, even through a screen, even on a blog, even in an Instagram post, even on a video. at least it makes me feel a little bit more connected, especially when I'm feeling really isolated and vulnerable and maybe not ready to reach out to my like actual loved ones. Sometimes this is kind of like the first step in me getting to that place, is looking to somebody else for just to see their story and how they've navigated it and how they've gotten through stuff, whether good stuff or bad stuff or all of the in between, you know. It just, I don't know, it's comforting in a way. So keeping that in mind, that I'm sharing really vulnerable stuff, I just ask that you please be respectful. Of course, comment away if you like, but if you don't have anything nice to say on purpose, I'm gonna delete that comment. So just maybe save that for somewhere else. Right, so without further ado, let's jump in, and then at the end I will come back and talk to you a little bit about my plans for One Little Word 2020. Alright guys, I don't know how the lighting is. I'm filming this at night. My apologies. It's the only time I could swing it. So, this is my One Little Word album. I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but this was the album I chose from last year, and it says all different little word phrases on it. Self-care, doing my best, lessons learned, being gentle with myself, etc. And I just filled in the side like I have for previous year's albums. I will have my previous flip-throughs. I think I've done one for each album, linked below. So let's dive in. Alrighty, I think we can, yeah, well, we'll just look at this page and then I'll move it over so it's more centered. So I stuck this end crooked. Of course, I'm just noticing now 1 year later, but this was a little card that came in order from, yeah, no, I can't remember that company's name. The lady who makes the, wait, I have mine in my pocket. The little pocket talismans that I order every year with my word on it. That's this year, that's a little preview, I guess. I cannot remember the name of her shop. I know her name is Liz Lamoureux, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But I'll link her below. I've ordered things from her in the past, including those little talismans, which I love so much for my One Little Word, and kind of keeping it special in that way. And something I can have on me as like a physical manifestation of it, I suppose. Anyway, this was a card that came in an order that I placed, and I just love the sentiments of this. So if you want to read it, I don't know if you can read it. I don't know if the camera will pick it up because it's so dark in here. But anyway, I just pasted that in the front at the beginning of the year because that just spoke to me then, and it still speaks to me now. So every year I order the album and the kit and pretty much all of the accessories that come with the kit, or, you know, come with the One Little Word stuff from Allie. Allie's shop, and I always like to get the acrylic words. I get a small word that I incorporate into the front of my album, and then I get a big word that I use on my vision board. Let me grab it. Alright, so here's my vision board from this past year, from 2019, and it's just on, I think it says like a 13 by 13 canvas. I'm not sure. But anyway, you can see the big acrylic word, and I popped it up with some puffy adhesive. And anyway, I like incorporating those kind of pieces for a little bit more tactile stuff. And I'm just going to flip through so you can just see what I did. A lot of things I get inspiration from Allie because I follow her class. I'm going to apologize for the glare in advance. I have to have all the lights on. But I do something every year where I put in some sort of portrait, and this year is with both of my kids, and I put the date in January 19, 2019, so it's almost exactly a year ago since when I'm filming this. But look how little baby Donnie is. I can't believe how much bigger he is now. But anyway, I just like to mark the beginning of my journey with a visual representation of me in what I consider my self-portrait at that time. And then I follow her prompts in her class just very specifically. You know, I don't know what else to say about that. I stuck with a theme throughout my album where I did a 3-pocket insert for the first part of each month, where I put the month cards that she included in her kit, and then I put in some photos. This probably has the least amount of photos of all my spreads, and I stuck to a black and white theme for this page of each month. I used some color photos in the other parts of the prompts, but I did kind of a black and white theme to kind of go with the vibe of the kit, and just, I always like black and white because it's pretty classy. Anyway, I didn't get the memo. My word for 2019 was connect, and I just used a lot of her products, and I wrote a lot. January is traditionally about journaling. This is another one of my favorite pictures from that time of year. And it was me and Winnie, and I was doing yoga, and Winnie always hangs out with me anytime I'm doing anything, but especially when I'm doing yoga. So, I mean, this is all kind of self-explanatory. I don't feel like I need to read all of this out loud. You know, it's really just a way to introduce even yourself to your word and share more about it, and kind of deep dive into what you are hoping for with this, keeping this word in mind. I'll read you a little bit from this page. It says, the year ahead. In what ways is my word already a part of my life? And I said, I'm constantly connecting with my kids during their waking hours. Parenthood has been a lesson in connection from the moment I got each BFP. And if you're familiar with trying to conceive, that means big, fat, positive. That means a positive pregnancy test. In the past year, I've been making intentional efforts to connect with friends old and new, and also with myself on a more real level. It's a work in progress. And I say, what do I want more of, and what do I want less of? More courage, less fear. More present, less festering. More openness, less judgment. More sharing, less hiding. More love, less worry. What do I fear most in the coming year? I fear lack of growth in myself and in my connections. I fear returning to hiding from myself and others. And what am I most excited about for the year ahead? I am most excited about growing, learning, evolving. I am pumped to see how stepping out of my shell will play out. Taking chances. Well, 1 year out from this statement, I can say it definitely did all those things. Did them all. February is the vision board prompt traditionally, and you can see, I mean, if you're interested in the memory keeping part of this, the crafting part, I do follow a theme, like I said at the first page. Keep the journal card in, and I include some pictures and some stuff and the little monthly heart stickers. I love this photo. This was from Donnie's first birthday party, a professional photograph. But my favorite photographer who moved away, but I have a new favorite, so it's all good. But if you live in Texas, check her out. I'll link her below. But I love that portrait. Anyway, what I did was I took a picture of my board and then just cut it down to size to fit in my album, and some of the leftover pieces that I had, collaging pieces from clippings from magazines and stuff, I pasted literally, this is like the actual magazine stuff, not a picture, that I pasted onto the back. Here in March, this was a habit. It was, I can't remember how she phrases it, but it's having a daily practice, and I chose memory keeping. And I wrote, I want to reestablish a consistent memory-keeping practice, reconnect with myself and my experiences with my loved ones through visual stories, and relish in the joy and healing powers of crafting on the daily. So I used this time to really finish up my December daily album from 2018. And I did it most every day, and it took me basically the whole month just to work on that. And I'm sorry to say that I did not make any progress in my other memory-keeping efforts. But I am happy that I did this, and that I wrote about that in length here. I had hoped that would launch me into getting back into a regular memory-keeping process, keeping up with my project life and stuff, but it didn't. Still on my wish list and goal list, but life just got a little hectic, as it does. Oh, look at my fluffy bunny. She's actually much smaller than that. She looks huge in that photo. I think it's just because her hair is all puffed out. But you'll notice in this album there's a lot of pictures of me, and it's something I'm actually pretty self-conscious about doing in any of my other albums or even on my social media. You won't, I mean, I don't post that much on my main Instagram feed anymore. When I do, it's usually a picture of me with my kids, but I'm not a huge fan of posting. I don't like half a selfie a day. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just not me. It's not I'm just not in my comfort zone. But since this album is specifically about me and my journey through the year with an intention, with a word, you'll find a lot more pictures of me in here, and I feel okay putting them in here, and I'm feeling even more okay about putting them in other places too. And Allie Edwards has actually been very instrumental in helping me accept that I'm allowed to be present in my stories. Like, I'm allowed visually present, my voice matters. I don't know, we can get into that. Anyway, this was an I am prompt, where it was just like things that I am right now. And these are, I read through these today, and they are very touching, because this was spring of last year, lots going on, and just this is just a testament to my headspace at the time and what I was working through. This whole album is. But this just real powerful stuff in here, really, really powerful journaling for me personally and my personal development. And I also incorporated some of my favorite quotes from Instagram. I've been following a few Instagram people, and I'll link a couple of my favorite accounts below that are very motivational, inspirational, and grounding and comforting for me. Morgan Harper Nichols, definitely one of them. Jessica Sharp, is that her name? I think that's her name. If I'm saying that wrong, I apologize. Is another, and I will screenshot the ones that speak to me very powerfully, and I'll print them out and put them in my album from time to time. And here's actually, this was a snippet from Elizabeth Gilbert, which is one of my favorite modern day writers, both fiction and nonfiction. But anyway, this was a prompt where you used photos to share, making your word visible. Since my word was about connecting, a lot of my pictures about connecting with myself and connecting with others. So I went to go wild in this time period, so you can see some pictures of friends, reunited with my kids after my longest trip away from them ever, the women in my family, playing the piano, texting with a friend, my dog, my husband at the time. All the tea there. I'll link that video if you're like, what do you mean at the time? Anyway, moving on. Too soon? Too soon. Anyway, June is a traditional prompt where it's a mid-year check-in. So it's in progress. This is the same every year, at least it has been in the years that I've been doing this project. And they're questions geared to helping you reflect on the past 6 months and look ahead to the next 6 months. So I just put in some pictures and snippets of that from that month that meant something to me. This was Father's Day. This was when we were in Southampton for the family reunion. And I'll read you a little bit about what I wrote here. It says, in 1 or 2 words, your one little word experience so far has been an everyday work in progress, I wrote. 3 things you've enjoyed about this word: encouraging growth, letting down my guard, and embracing trust. 3 challenges you faced related to your word: leaving behind old patterns, navigating fragile relationships, embracing trust. You see, that's both a enjoyment and a challenge. Has this word had an impact on your relationship with others? In every way, shape, and form, yes, for the better. 3 things you'd like to accomplish by the end of the year: grow more connected, grounded, and strong within myself. Check. Foster my new relationships and family ties. Check. Continue making connecting with my kids a priority. Check. Anything else you want to document about your word right now? In order to love fully, I must accept that I am fully lovable. I am fully loved just the way I am. This was the big piece of my year, emotional work, my heart work. Big piece, and I made huge progress in that. And the changes that have transpired are a testament to that. And then this picture of me and my girl out in the backyard. I love that one. And I really just love doing the black and white with little pops of colors. I don't know. Like, I did color photos for all of these photos, but you can see, like I said, the first page is all black and white. I just like the way that turned out. Now, this July prompt was the artsy prompt where you paint. And I had a lot of fun with this, and I always do. And I always think, like, oh my God, I'm not an artist. I'm not going to be any good at this. And then I love the way it turns out. And I really do. I love the way this turned out. This is Emily on Life, Emily McDowell, another one of my favorite inspirational people. that I follow on Instagram. But I really love the way this turned out. It's fun to craft and paint. I don't paint really any other time. So this is all watercolor, and I stamped this quote on. This is from Elizabeth Gilbert's latest fiction book, City of Girls, and it says, at some point in a woman's life, she just gets tired of being ashamed all the time. After that, she's free to become whoever she truly is. Me. This year, or last year, I should say. Continuing on to this year. Anyway, I painted this wood chipboard thingy and stamped it, and I don't know, I just had a lot of fun with this. Then August is when I went through a lot of really huge internal shifts. I mean, I've been shifting a lot in the past year, but a lot of inner work this month in particular. This is when a lot of big shifts really happened. And that's reflected in my prompt. So this was the story I'm telling myself prompt, which Allie incorporated both in 2018 and now again in 2019. And I included a self-portrait. When I see that face, and I'm going to get real honest with you here, I see a woman in a lot of emotional pain. That photo, I was in my parents' backyard. My family was visiting. I think this was Labor Day weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I was in an incredible amount of emotional pain, and that's me kind of gritting through it. But I felt like that was important to document. That was important to include here. Do I love that picture? No. I look at it and I feel that pain. I feel that woman's pain. I lived that pain. And I still, pain still happens, right? Pain's part of life. But that was a really painful time. And yeah, I just felt like it was important to include that in here. And a lot of my journaling from this is just a woman in pain and grieving and figuring things out and trying to figure out how to transition. And I'm just going to read you. I'm sure if you really are curious, you can pause the video and try to figure out how to read these. But basically, I am going to read you just this last one, because this is really the crux of it. Okay. It says, I struggle every day with these big life change questions. Is the reward greater than the challenges? Will I still have a safe place in my circle? And most importantly, will my children be happy and feel safe and secure in their family? That last one I point at myself like a dagger. But when I quiet the noise of my ego, I hear a quiet yet strong, resounding yes. Yes to all of these, and I think ultimately it would be better for everyone involved if I choose change, because choosing me shows them to choose themselves, and that is a gift of love. Don't know how to better say it than that. Alright, September. Oh man, this is a letter to self. This was when I took that trip to Eugene, Oregon for story camp with Allie Edwards, which was amazing, and a huge inner work that weekend, of course. That's my letter to myself. It's a love letter to yourself, so I don't feel silly sharing it, because that's what it is, okay? This is honest stuff here. I'm going to read it out loud. Dear one, you stand in a precarious place with one foot on one plane and the other in another. This is not an easy place to be, or an easy way to be. Listen to me carefully. You are doing much better than you think. Yes, there are moments that feel impossibly difficult, but even those you handle with grace, strength, and courage. I am so proud of you for how you've not only managed this tough season, but also for how much you've grown through it all. Never ever let anyone, and especially yourself, tell you you're not a strong person. You act with bravery and kindness and out of love. If that ain't noble living, I don't know what is. There are a lot of decisions and changes on the horizon, and heading into the unknown is scary. But you need not fear the dark, because you are the light. You are love. September 26th. Very important, pivotal time for me. That was a self-portrait I took while hiking in Oregon. That trip was everything. Just everything. Okay, then October. Lots of things. Now, I just caught up with this. Honestly, you guys, I didn't touch my one little word album between the September prompt, which I did at the end of September, and today. So this past week, this like third week of January, I did October, November, and December. And I caught up. I basically could not come to this during that time. That I just didn't have the emotional capacity for it. But I'm at a place where I was able to now, so I did. And this was kind of a newer prompt. It was things you're thankful for about yourself. And it was supposed to include a self-portrait. This is another picture from that trip, but I really liked it, and I liked that I could fit in everything in the space that I wanted. Yeah. And this was another picture from that trip, and Allie had given a free download of this word art, and I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. You can see it much better in person, but I basically worked in Photoshop to kind of make it blend in with the rocks, but also be able to read. I don't know if I'll be able to read it on camera, but you can read it in person. November was kind of a newer prompt. It was photos about your connection with your word right now. And I copied what Allie suggested, and I don't love the way this turned out in terms of crafting with the tags. I put my own spin on it. I didn't do it exactly the way she did, but I think if I were to go back and do it again, I would just put the words either digitally or physically on the pictures themselves. I don't really like these flapping around things, so basically you're supposed to just include some photos about right now, something related with your word. And so I used connecting with basically as my tagline. So connecting with my sweet girl, connecting with my sweet boy. Let's see, connecting with my parents, connecting with my nieces and nephews. I mean, I wish I could have put I've been connecting. November was a lot about connecting with both sides of the family, extended family, and friends too, and I just didn't get all of that in, but I put in what I could. And these are all photos from November, even though I did this basically in the last few days. Connecting with my sweet angel, that's Winnie. Connecting with the joy of and peace of light, so the moon is an important part of that. The twinkle of Christmas lights was an important part of that during that time of year for me. Because it was a very, very different kind of Christmas for me, and that was always important, but extra important. And then I wrote connecting with the magic of small moments. These are just funny pictures of my kids from that month that they keep me laughing, they keep me grounded. And then connecting with hope, and I put in this snippet from Morgan Harper Nichols, and it says, "For all of the things you never got to say, and all of the memories that will never feel the same, here's what remains. Here's what's true after all you lost. Love will still find you." And it does, and this is evidence of that. And then the last prompt, this is another one that's traditional. That's traditionally the same every year. That's me and my kids on Christmas morning. Super cute. And that's me and my family when we were in Utah on a special Santa train December 30th. And I just printed out this thing. This is another Morgan Harper Nichols thing from her Instagram, and I just blew it up to fit on a 4x6, and it says, "I hope you know it's okay if family looks different in this season." That was a big part of December for me, was navigating a really uncertain time, a transitionary time when everything's kind of uncertain and new and different in what is traditionally, not to be redundant, but a very traditional time for me and my family. So there was a lot of navigating for all of us, but I think we did it with grace, as much grace as possible. And then I wanted to kind of tie in the end of the album with the beginning of the album and have a current portrait with my kids. I got Winnie in this one. This was New Year's Eve, actually, in Utah. And this is a very good snapshot of what we look like in any given moment. Together, happy. Donnie is singing in the microphone. Cece's giggling and flopping about. Winnie's like, "What is happening? Cuddle my mommy. That's all I care about." And I'm just taking it all in. And that's basically life for me lately. And then here is this sheet again, something that we see year after year. Facts, feelings, all related to your word at this time, and what you want to remember. And I am not going to read all of this to you because there's a lot here.
But I will read this last bit to you. It says, I want to remember the following. I want to remember my courage in taking leaps of faith with connecting and disconnecting. I want to remember the kindness I was shown by others through these connections and the kindness I showed myself. I want to remember all the small moments of magic, especially during the hardest times, and how they brought me comfort and joy in the darkness. I want to remember my strength throughout the most difficult transition of my life thus far, and how I chose loving kindness through it all. I want to remember how proud I am of myself for standing strong in myself. And at the bottom I put a little chipboard paste that says, progress always, perfection never. Ain't that just the ticket? That is the ticket to life. Anyway, that's the whole shebang, you guys. There it is.
I hope you enjoyed seeing my album cover to cover. I just today finished up the last prompt. I was a little behind. We're getting close to the end of January here, and but I finally wrapped it up today. And when I was doing the last prompt, where you're really just wrapping up your year, Allie encourages you in the class to look back. So I looked back through my whole album. I read through the whole thing, and to see the progression. I mean, I knew all the heart work I did, like I said, but to see that progression looking in hindsight, when I'm still in the thick of a very, very, very challenging transition, big life transition, is really, I mean, I'm really proud. I want to say that I'm really, really proud of myself, and that's not something that I say very often. And I don't think many people do say that of themselves, or I don't think that many do as often as they maybe should. To really look back at what you've accomplished, even if you can't name like traditional things on paper, like a raise or an award or a scholarship or, things like that. Even if you don't have those things to tick off in the last year or whatever, those things are great. And yeah, you can work really hard for those things and they can be very rewarding. But really, it's the inner stuff. It's that inner heart, hard work. That is the real journey, right, of this life. And any progress there, any growth there is huge. And you should be immensely proud of yourself. And I must say, I am really proud of myself, especially after looking through my album today and kind of seeing where I started at the beginning of last year and where I've ended up. Around the same time now as when I started the album last year. So I am proud. And I hope that in sharing this with you, it gave you something, if not maybe a little just entertainment, a little comfort, to know you're not alone in whatever struggles you may be facing. Everybody struggles, you guys. It doesn't matter what your life looks like on paper. Everybody has big life and little life struggles, like everybody. And I don't see the point in comparing them. Why can't we just connect with each other by sharing them and not saying my struggle is harder than yours, so you don't deserve to feel bad about your struggle. Everybody struggles. Let's connect with that and let's honor that in each other and just be there for each other, instead of having to feel like superior or feeling inferior or whatever it is that your particular complex is. I'm more of an inferior complex. I have a guilt complex, but done a lot of work on that. And, like I said, recovering perfectionist, guilt complex is definitely a lot less than it was in other years. And it's all this work, right? It's this intentional heart work. So, there it is. My word for 2020 is breathe. I came to this. It's really been popping up, especially in the last quarter of 2019. So, fall through, the holidays. I just was going through some very intense things in my life and very intense feelings and just a lot of uncertainty, and just felt like a lot of volatility in my life, and just it continues. I'm navigating it, I think, fairly well. I have a lot of support thanks to the connections that I established and worked on really hard in the last year. But I find that I haven't been breathing, like literally just breathe. And I could go with something that is a little deeper seeming, like connect or believe or create or nurture, which were my previous words of the year. But this actually feels pretty huge to me because this is something I've struggled with, I think, my entire life. And things that I've done in the past year have really impacted how I'm seeing this, or that I'm even really seeing it. And that the main one was starting a daily yoga practice with Yoga with Adrienne, which I've talked about before. All free, all online on YouTube. Short practices, 20 to 30 minute practices every day. Easy to fit in, easy to do. And it's during those times that I am actually breathing and taking that time to breathe that I realize I'm really holding my breath the rest of the day. And that contributes to anxiety and stress and a host of other issues. And so really focusing on that is huge for me. And this, I know, will filter out to everything else. I really just want to breathe some air, literally and metaphorically, into my life. And I am already really working on that. Between my physical activities, yoga, running, dancing, around like a crazy person. I love work. I've talked about work before. It's a cardio dance class. But those are like the physical things where I feel myself like I'm connecting really specifically with my breath. But then also that is filtering out into other areas and just keeping this at the forefront. Did I have that backwards? I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I had that backwards. Fail. Anyway, that's the word. I think I had that backwards for the first part. I don't know. Anyway, I just feel like, I don't know, it's really, that word just started really standing out to me at the last few months of last year, and I knew that that's what I wanted to follow, and I didn't question it. And that's what I've found with my words since I've been doing this project for the last 4 or 5 years, is the words will speak to me. That sounds like a little woo-woo, but like I'll see them over and over again in places, quotes from people I follow online, in things I'm reading, anything I'm consuming, basically. The word that, especially as we get to the end of the year, will really, really start to stand out and reach to me, and that I follow it. I just like, okay, you're jumping up and down, waving at me, so I will meet ya. Like, let's do it. So yeah, not backwards. I don't know if this is backwards. No, see, in the viewfinder it's backwards. Okay. Anyway, enough of that. Got my acrylic word. I'm going to be using this on my vision board, which I'm sure is going to be the February prompt, because it is every year, which is one of my favorite prompts, and I'll probably share them on Instagram, which I tend to do every year. But yeah, let's breathe in 2020, guys. Let's breathe new life into this world, into our culture, into our communities, into our families, into our circles, our personal circles, our public circles, and into ourselves. Let's just take a deep breath together, and yeah, that's the plan. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to know if you picked a word for 2020. If you feel like sharing it, I'd love to know what your word is, because I always find that fascinating to see what people are gravitating towards. And I hope you are all well. If you want to check out this project, it is not too late to enroll in this class at all. I will have a link below, of course, to Allie's class. Like I said, you don't have to do the whole project album crafty bit. You can just journal if you want, or even just listen to the prompts and like meditate upon what they inspire you to think about. But yeah, you can find all that below. Thank you so much for watching, and take good care, you guys. Bye.